Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's Mindy here. I hope it's been a great week for you. Happy Friday. I hope you have a fantastic weekend. Today I'm going to talk about a brand new haul, a series of fragrances that I brought into my collection. And honestly, I have mixed feelings about this haul. A couple of them are absolutely amazing. A couple of them I'm kind of on the fence with, and a couple of them didn't really meet my expectations. I'm curious, what fragrances are you awaiting in the mail? What fragrances are knocking your socks off right now? And which fragrances are you not so crazy about? Definitely love to hear from you guys on what you're trying, what you're buying, and what you're playing with. Alright, so without further ado, I will jump right in and share my thoughts on the brand new haul, these fragrances that I brought into my collection. So the first fragrance that I have here is Girl of Now Shine, and this is one I've spoken about on my channel a couple times before. This is one that I wore on vacation and I wore a lot. I couldn't quit reaching for it. It's one that I'm absolutely crazy about. Yes, I like the original Girl of Now, but this one really has some added magic that makes it really amazing to my nose. So yes, you definitely get the pistachio, the almond, nutty goodness that is in the original Girl of Now, but this one takes it to a different level. In this one, you have added notes of pineapple, ylang ylang, iris, and vanilla, and to me, it just adds some brightness, some character, some dimension to a fragrance that I already liked, but at times I found to be too sweet. This one kind of rounds it out a little bit more, and I really enjoy this fragrance. If you like the original Girl of Now and you would like to see a little bit more fruitiness in the perfume, I do think this is one to try out. Again, that is Girl of Now Shine by Elie Saab. The next fragrance that I have here is Ariana Grande Cloud Intense. And yes, I already did a video on this one. I did a first impressions, but I wanted to share that I am still really loving and enjoying this perfume. For me, this is very much along the lines of the original Cloud fragrance, but it takes it to a different level. The sweetness in here is a little bit different to my nose. It feels a little bit deeper. There are the same notes, of course. There's whipped cream, praline, coconut, a series of other notes in here as well. But there is added ambroxan and cashmeran in this version, and I think it gives it some ambery depth, some warmth. This really takes the original Cloud to the next level. I really enjoy the muskiness that's in here. I enjoy the depth. If you liked the original Cloud, I really think you're probably gonna love this one. Happy that I brought this into my collection. Really enjoying the scent profile. Loving that they've amped up all of those notes that I already loved in the original perfume. That is Cloud Intense by Ariana Grande. So the next perfume that I have here was a little bit of a disappointment to me, and that is Girl of Now Forever. I'm gonna go ahead and spray it on a tester strip. I'd prefer not having this one on my skin because I am not crazy about the scent profile. Given the fact that I love the original Girl of Now, the fact that I adore Girl of Now Shine, I really thought this one would be a massive love, but to my nose, it is very different, dramatically different from the other two Girl of Now fragrances. This fragrance is sweet like the other Girl of Nows, but it takes a completely different direction. I don't get any of that almond, pistachio, nuttiness, creaminess that I really enjoy in the other fragrances. Instead, this one strips that nuttiness away, and what I get in this one is more of a fruity presence. I get quite a bit of a sharp fruitiness. There's raspberry in here. I don't know if that's where that sharpness comes from, but there's also lemon peel and black currant. I can't really pinpoint what it is that I'm not loving here. Now, to me, this one comes off a little bit perfumey. Usually when I think about a perfumey fragrance, it's one that has a heavy floral presence, one that's a little bit dominating to my nose that I'm not really enjoying. But in this case, it seems like it's that fruitiness, maybe blending with the rose note that's in here. It's just not a love for me. This one deeply disappointed me. I had high expectations for this fragrance. I really thought I would love it as much as the other Girl of Nows, but this just isn't my type of perfume. It doesn't feel balanced like the other fragrances from this line, so sadly I will not be moving forward with a full bottle. You know, honestly, I'm grateful with this one that I did only buy a decant. I was a little bit concerned because the reviews seem to be very mixed on this one, and rightly so. I think a lot of other people are probably not enjoying that citrus, that fruity presence that I'm not enjoying in this one. Certainly some people will enjoy this fragrance. I do think there are some nice qualities to it, but for me, it's just not one that I would reach for. Again, that is Girl of Now Forever by Elie Saab. So the next fragrance that I have here is Britney Spears Fantasy Intense, and this is one I absolutely expected to love. A lot of the reviews mentioned how it was very much like the original Fantasy with some fruitiness weaved in. The rating on this fragrance was something like 4.37, which made me think that people are really, really loving this perfume. I thought for sure I would adore it. In full disclosure, I did have the original Fantasy. I used to wear it quite often. I no longer have it. I gifted it to somebody, but I am interested in pulling that back into my collection to compare against the Fantasies that I do have. This is Midnight Fantasy, and there's quite a bit of a plummy, dark, fruity vibe in this one, whereas Fantasy Intense definitely retains that original DNA that you find in the Fantasy fragrance. It's sweet, it's fruity, but for me, I'm not crazy about how the fruitiness plays in this fragrance. The fruity notes are pear, kiwi, lychee, and then there's some sweet notes as well, like white chocolate, cupcake, some florals, jasmine, orchid. There's also patchouli, woodsy notes, orris, and musk in here. I think personally, I'm not really digging the kiwi note. When I first sprayed this on my skin, I did not enjoy it at all. I found it to be quite sharp. I didn't think that the fruity notes blended very well together, and where I love to eat kiwi, I just really thought I found it unappealing in this fragrance. As it settled into my skin, I started to enjoy a little bit more how the notes blended together, but I will say I'm really not sure about this one. I have it on my skin now, and when I press my nose to it, I really don't like the scent profile. I think that happens with a lot of fragrances. When you press your nose to it, you get a lot of heaviness that you don't really enjoy so much. When I get the sillage, I do enjoy it a little bit more. Again, it's quite reminiscent of other Fantasy fragrances that I've had in the past. I'm just not wild about the fruity notes and how they come together in this one. Prior to bringing this one into my collection, the only Fantasy that I still had was Midnight Fantasy, and I think this is probably still my favorite. This is not a fragrance that I'm reaching for a lot anymore. I've changed my taste preferences, they've evolved a little bit, and these do come off quite sweet to me. I do think they're nice fragrances. I think they're fruity, they're fun, they're playful, but I'm not sure that I would reach for these too much in the future. Still nice fragrances. That is Fantasy Intense by Britney Spears. The next fragrance that I have here, and the name stumbles me up every single time, is Cheirosa 39 Brazilian Crush by Sol de Janeiro. Now, this bottle is absolutely massive. I believe this is 8 ounces, whereas my prior bottles were more like, I don't know, 3 or 4 ounces. So you can tell this is a monstrous bottle. Honestly, I'm a little bit wishy-washy on this one. To me, what this really reminds me of is Cheirosa 71. I've spoken about this one on my channel before. It has kind of that buttery popcorn scent profile, while at the same time having that warm, delicious s'mores type fragrance profile. It seems to have that underlying DNA very similar to Cheirosa 71. However, there is a very prominent coconut note in this perfume. If you like coconut, I do think this is one that you might want to get your nose on. It very much has that rich, warm, delicious, gourmand presence that Cheirosa 71 has, but it weaves in the coconut. I wasn't so sure about this one at first. I wasn't crazy about how the coconut came together with the praline, the marshmallow, the caramel. There's vanilla, coffee, and honey in here as well. And to be honest with you, most of those notes don't stand out to me. It really comes together really well. I don't pick out any single note. Maybe the praline a little bit, definitely the coconut. But again, it kind of has that base of Cheirosa 71 to me. I do think this one is nice. I think it's a pretty scent, and I definitely plan to wear it, especially when the summer months start rolling around again. It may be a while until I wear this one regularly. It is a nice fragrance, probably a 6 or 7 out of 10 for me, but it's also a very affordable fragrance. For this massive bottle, I think I paid about $20, so that is quite affordable for this much perfume. So when I do rank this against the other fragrances that I have in this line, and keep in mind that I really do enjoy this line, I do think this one falls a little bit towards the bottom. I have 4 total, and I'd have to say this is probably my least favorite, but it's still very nice. My favorite, the one that I like the most, is still Cheirosa 62. This is Brazilian Crush. This is the nutty, almondy, maybe pistachio heavy fragrance with caramel, vanilla. This one is just delicious. I love this gourmand, but I do recommend people trying these out. I think it'd be amazing if they had a sampler. Again, this one is Cheirosa 39, Brazilian Crush by Sol de Janeiro. The next fragrance that I have here is Nirvana Amethyst by Elizabeth and James. I mentioned before that I really enjoy tobacco notes in fragrances. I adore tobacco in men's colognes, but I also really wanted to explore it a little bit in women's fragrances. I've been looking for a feminine fragrance that had a tobacco note that I really enjoy. Yes, tobacco is in Bois, Dore, and that is a fragrance that I absolutely adore. But to my nose, that one leans a little bit masculine, or right there kind of in the middle. I thought this one might be a little bit more feminine. And I think a lot of people may think this one leans a little bit feminine. I think it does, but to a very, very small degree. To me, this one is kind of right in the middle. But I am so glad I picked this one up. I have a quick story about this one. I went to a fragrance shop. They only had a tester left of this one. I tried it on my skin. I really liked it, and I asked them if I could buy the bottle. They wouldn't sell the bottle to me. So I came back home, found this on FragranceNet for a very affordable price. I think it was around $16 and some change for 1.7 ounces. So of course, what do when you find a great price on a fragrance you love? You pick up 2. I find this to be deep. It's rich. There's a dark spiciness in here. There's honeysuckle in this fragrance, and so it weaves some sweetness in, and the tobacco in this perfume is just lovely. I'm not sure if this will be an out and about fragrance for me. I'm not sure that I'll wear this a ton when I have events or special occasions or even in an office setting, but this is the type of fragrance that I just enjoy the scent profile so much that I'll wear for me. I'll wear it a lot when I'm in the home, when I don't really have plans for the day, and that may evolve over time, but I'm quite addicted to this scent and I find it to be absolutely gorgeous. This one is cozy, it's sweet, it's comforting, and I think a lot of people would find this one to be intoxicating. One thing I love about this perfume specifically is I've explored perfume and I've learned a lot on my fragrance journey. One note that stands out to me is cedar. There's cedar in Baccarat Rouge 540, Delina, it's in Spirituiste du Vanille, Bois Dore as well, and it's just a note that I've learned to pick up on, and I really enjoy how it's done here. I was trying to think of who might like this fragrance and take this with a grain of salt because I like all of these. I think people who like Nirvana Bourbon would like this. I think people who like Dior Addict might like this one because it has that dark, warm character to it. I think people who like Vanilla 28 by Kayali might enjoy this one. People who like Bois Dore, Gris Charnel, and Loubirouge, again, take that with a grain of salt. I definitely recommend trying before buying, but this one is low risk, so if you think you might like it, you go off the reviews and you see what the notes are, tobacco, honeysuckle, cedar, and spices. I think the risk is worth taking with this one. Again, this one is Nirvana Amethyst by Elizabeth and James. Alright guys, thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I truly appreciate you. If you enjoyed this video on perfumes that I just brought into my collection this week, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I hope you have an amazing weekend. You have a lot to be grateful and thankful for. And until next time, I'll see you soon.